Okay, so this is the part of your test that you will be able to use a graphing calculator on. And the directions are to express each problem as a system of equations, solve the system, and state the answer to the problem, including units of measurement. Okay, so problem 11 says a locksmith charges $25 to make a house call and $15 for each lock that's rekeyed. Another locksmith charges $10 to make a house call and $20 for each lock that is rekeyed. For how many locks will the total cost be the same? Okay, so for the first locksmith, we're going to write the equation y equals 25 for the fee plus $15 per lock. So I'm going to put an x. 15. So y equals 25 plus 15x. For the other locksmith, we can write the equation y equals the $10 fee plus 20 times x for the $20 for each lock that's rekeyed. Now you can go into your calculator and you can go into a calculator page, hit menu, algebra, solve systems of equations. There's two equations that we're dealing with, and the variables are x and y. So we're going to hit OK. The first equation was y equals 25 plus 15x. And the second equation was 10 plus, don't forget the y equals 10 plus 20x. Alright, and then you hit enter, and the solution for x, which is the number of keys, remember x represents the number of keys rekeyed, and y is the cost. So the number of keys rekeyed is 3 locks is the appropriate answer for the cost to be the same. Alright, now we're going to go for 12. Problem 12, it says a student-written performance is playing at a local high school. Rochelle paid $52 for 2 adult tickets, 2 student tickets, and 1 child ticket. So we can write an equation for 2 adult tickets plus 2 student tickets plus a child's ticket, and the total she paid was $52. RJ paid $56 for 1 adult ticket, 2 student tickets, and 3 children tickets, and that was $56. And then Ann paid $44 for 1 adult ticket and 4 child tickets. So those are the 3 equations, and now we can go into our calculator and do the same process. We go menu, algebra, solve systems of linear equations. This time we have 3 variables, and we can write them as A, S, and C. And then we hit OK. And then we type in our equations 2A plus 2S plus C equals 52. And then the second and third equation you can type in, and then you hit enter. And there are your solutions. A is 12, S is 10, and 8 is for the children's ticket. So those represent the cost of each type of ticket. So adult tickets cost $12, student tickets cost $10, and child tickets cost $8. Alrighty, moving on to number 13. It says a popular mixture of potpourri includes pine needles and lavender. If pine needles cost $1.25 per ounce and lavender costs $3.75 per ounce, how much of each ingredient should be mixed to make 100 ounces of potpourri that costs $3 per ounce? Okay, so each ingredient, so potpourri plus lavender, we want to make 100 ounces of that. So now we need to figure out the cost. So we have $1.25 per ounce of potpourri plus $3.75 per ounce of lavender. And now this time it's $3 per ounce, okay? So we're wanting to make, remember, 100 ounces of it. So we have to set the cost equal to $300. So that's what they're wanting to know, how much of each ingredient for it to cost $300. All right, so now we go to our calculator again and enter into our computer. We go our calculator menu, algebra, solve systems of equations. There are two equations here, and our variables are P and L. And that tells us how much of each those represent how much of each potpourri of pine needles and lavender we're going to need. How many ounces of each. Okay, so we've entered in our two equations, and once we hit enter, we get the solution of 30 and 70. So our answers are 30 ounces of pine needles and 70 ounces of lavender. So we can go ahead and fill that in. Alrighty, the last word problem we have two more, sorry. 14 says Karen earns $5,000 working part-time as a cashier in a department store. She puts her earnings into 3 different bank accounts. She puts some money in a checking account, which pays 5% annual interest, some into a savings account, which pays 6% interest, and the rest in a 1-year certificate of deposit paying 7% interest. No additional money was deposited or withdrawn from the accounts during the year. And the total interest at the end of the year was an average return of 6.5%. Okay, so let's start off. She has 3 accounts. So I'm going to name them X, Y, and Z. And those represent the amount of money that she puts in each account. And the total amount that she invests in those accounts is $5,000. Okay, the 3 different accounts give different interest. On the first account, the checking account, she gets a 5% interest. So we write that as a decimal as 0.05 times the amount she invests. So that's going to give us the amount of interest she earns on that specific account, plus the 6% interest she earns on the savings account, plus the 7% interest that she earns on the 1-year certificate of deposit account. And she wants her total percentage to be the total interest to be 6.5% return on her investment. So we need to go to our calculator, and we're going to multiply 5,000 times 0.065. So that's going to tell me the interest that she wants to get, and that is $325. Okay, and then the last statement that we need to read is that if she invests 3 times as much as 6% as at 5%, find the amount that she invests at each rate. Okay, so the amount that she invests at 6% is Y. And that is 3 times the amount that she invests at 5%, which is X. So I'm going to do 3 times X. Okay, and then once again, we can go into our calculator, hit menu, algebra, solve systems of equations. There's 3 equations this time. Okay, and 3 variables, X, Y, and Z. We hit OK, and you go ahead and type them in. And then you hit enter, and your answers right there are $500, $1,500, and $3,000. So at 5% interest, the amount that she puts in is $500. And then at 6%, she puts $1,500, and at 7%, she puts in $3,000. Okay, our last problem. Matthew has 74 coins consisting of nickels, dimes, and quarters. So we can write an equation from that first sentence as nickels plus the amount of quarters plus the amount of dimes equals 74. The total value of the coins is $8.85. So a nickel's worth 5 cents. That's the amount he has in nickels. A quarter's worth 25 cents, so adding the amount that he has in quarters, plus the 10 cents per dime, has to total $8.85. And it says if the number of nickels and quarters is 4 more than the number of dimes, find out how many quarters Matthew has. Okay, so the nickels plus the quarters has to equal the dimes plus 4, because there's 4 more of the combined total of nickels and quarters and dimes. Alrighty, let's go to our calculator again. Menu, algebra, solve systems of linear equations. 3 variables, and this time we're using in Q and D for nickels, quarters, and dimes. And remember, we're separating them by a comma. You hit OK. And then we go ahead and type in our equation. Okay, and then we hit enter, and you realize that he has 22 nickels, 17 quarters, and 35 dimes. And the question is asking how many quarters he has, so it's 17 quarters. All right, y'all. So that ends our review video. I hope y'all it's helped, and good luck tomorrow on your test. We will see you then.